very much. Good afternoon. I'm honored to join you here today. I want to congratulate all the graduates. I'll be sharing the three most valuable lessons that life has taught me. My first major lesson was about finding my purpose. My upbringing was very international. My mom got pregnant with me while my parents lived in a town in Argentina. By the time I was born, my family had moved to a city in Brazil. Talk about an identity crisis. I mean, not knowing if to root for Argentina or Brazil in a soccer World Cup is a South American boy's worst nightmare. There, they had to learn to speak Portuguese and adapt our family to a new country and culture. Growing up in Brazil, my parents worked, and we moved to a different house or city every year. When I was 7, we moved to Argentina's largest city, and when I was 10, we moved to a quiet suburban neighborhood in St. Louis, Missouri, in the American Midwest. And again, my family had to learn a new language and adapt to a new country and a new culture. Every international move was a total reset. New school, new friends. When I arrived in the States in 5th grade, nobody in my class knew anything about where I came from. Since they'd also never heard my birth name, Leandro, I got a new name, Leo. When I was 15, we moved back to Argentina, and life got serious. Hyperinflation of 200% a month was transferring millions of people into poverty and despair. A couple of months after our move, as I looked out the windows of a public bus that I was on, and I saw the barren streets of Buenos Aires on a cold Saturday, I decided I would make it my life's purpose to help create opportunity for as many people as I could. I felt privileged to have grown up with so many possibilities and wanted to give back. 6 months later, my brother and I started a nonprofit organization encouraging teenage kids to get involved in their communities and help people, especially those in need. I served in that nonprofit in various leadership roles as a volunteer over the following 7 years. We organized sleepaway camps throughout the year, bringing together a couple hundred teenagers nationwide each time. These teenagers left inspired to become active leaders in their lives and communities. We changed thousands of lives for the better each year, and I could feel our impact. That experience changed me forever. It fueled my commitment to serve others and my belief in the power of leaders to influence positively. Meanwhile, at school, I was learning French. At 19, I applied to work in France, and I ended up as an intern in a French company in Paris. Before I turned 20, I had lived and worked in some capacity in 4 countries and with entirely different languages and cultures, and I had become fluent in all 4 of them. So as I turned 20, feeling like a true citizen of the world and a public servant at heart, I dreamt of working for the United Nations, which is why I graduated in international relations and applied to the PhD in political science at top universities in the United States. I was fortunate to be admitted into Harvard, Yale, Princeton, MIT, and Columbia. I chose Harvard, and at 22 I was enrolled in the PhD and living in Boston. The year I moved from Buenos Aires to Boston gave me a chance to reflect on my future. I realized how valuable it was that I had finally grown some roots in a place. I felt happy in Argentina, close to family and friends, and like I finally belonged somewhere. I started picturing myself returning to Argentina as soon as I earned my degree and getting into public service. Now, if that isn't the youth and idealism of an eternal optimist, getting into politics in Argentina. At 24, I graduated with a master's degree from Harvard in political economy, and I left the PhD program because I didn't want to be an academic. I wanted a life of action. I landed a job in the Argentinian government's Social Security Agency and moved to downtown Buenos Aires. Right about now, that water sounds amazing. Thank you, Mr. President. I think I can keep it here. In my 20s, I wanted to know my career path. I only knew my purpose. And I knew I wanted to be a husband and a dad and build a wonderful family. I decided that I wouldn't go into marriage with a set career path, so my wife and I could choose together the path we'd pursue. At 26, I became Argentina's youngest political appointee in the federal government's cabinet. I led the modernization of the government, which at the time was a dream job for me. It only lasted a year. When Argentina's president sacked my boss, I lost my job and income. I went on to start a political party, run for elected office twice, start 2 public policy think tanks, write a book, publish a few books and articles, and even teach economics at a university. In my late 20s, I was a rising political star in Argentina as the Party for a Republic with Opportunities president. Our party was powered by hundreds of volunteers and supported by thousands of voters. I was still single and earned just enough income for my Spartan lifestyle. The year I turned 30, I decided to start a company. Not because I dreamt of having a business or being wealthy, but to supplement my paltry income so I could someday start a family and continue being in politics. I started a travel company with a friend and an agricultural company with another. The company that made me the entrepreneur I am today was the travel company. It motivated me way more than the agricultural business because I saw how positively it impacted the lives of so many people in our team, in our clients and vendors. We provided for the livelihood of many families, directly and indirectly. That travel business almost failed before it even got started. After 6 months of investing all our cash to get the company off the ground, we had yet to make a single sale and were close to calling it quits. My partner suggested an experiment one day, which didn't sound too promising. We ran with it anyway, and unexpectedly, it worked. A year later, we were the undisputed leader in the city tour industry in Buenos Aires, the world's busiest destinations. By its 3rd year, our company generated millions of dollars in revenue. I was having fun, making money, leading an organization, and serving my purpose. I was 32. That's when I met my wife on a blind date. She's sitting here today. I'm not going to point any fingers as to where she is. Within 2 months, just 2 months, we got engaged, and a year later, we were married. On our 2nd date, Paula asked me precise questions about what I wanted to do with my life. Be prepared. I told her I wanted to help as many people as possible prosper fairly. She asked me how I was planning to achieve my purpose. I told her I wasn't sure of it yet, but I knew for sure was my purpose. Sure, I said, I wanted to be president of Argentina. If it led to an improvement in the lives of others, was my caveat. Otherwise, I didn't care for that office or any other specific title. What mattered to me was truly serving my purpose. Right before we got engaged, I disputed my last political election. Working as a CEO all day and spending nights and weekends working on a political campaign and a secondary business was too overwhelming. I couldn't juggle that many balls in the air successfully and still be a great fiancé. I decided to prioritize starting a family with Paula and focusing on the travel business so that it could provide us with a good income. Choosing to leave politics was painful at first, but in the end, it was one of the best decisions of my life. Closing that door opened many others. Choosing to be a business leader allowed me to start the family I dreamt of and ultimately proved to be a powerful way to serve my purpose. My purpose led me to my life's vision. So find your purpose. It will help you navigate your decisions in all facets of your life at each juncture. Having a clear vision focuses your mind on fewer choices and lets you pick the best one on each occasion. It's really hard to listen to the music and dance your way through life when there's too much noise. Clarity is the mother of all major achievements. Knowing what to say no to is just as important as knowing what to say yes to. So choose a purpose that means the world to you, that inspires you, and makes you look up to yourself. Pick something you can apply your greatest talents to. Go for something compatible with your desired lifestyle, which will bring you joy daily. You can choose to serve any purpose at all, but know that one rooted in the service of others will always be more meaningful and rewarding. A self-serving purpose will leave you lonely and sad. Money, power, and fame can be wonderful. I mean that, when they're in the byproduct of a life lived in the service of others. When they are your purpose, money, power, and fame will leave you morally, emotionally, and spiritually bankrupt. So find your purpose. Articulate it clearly to yourself and others, and live true to it. Graduates, if you still need to find your purpose, keep looking. You will know when you find it. It will paint a clear picture of what it means to succeed and keep you focused and moving toward your destiny. I hope you're not tired, because that was just the first lesson. My second major life lesson was on relationships. Now it gets interesting. 5 graduates from my Argentinian university got into graduate school programs at Harvard when I did. In all the previous years combined, just 1 graduate from our university had accomplished what the 5 of us did. What was most striking was who were the 5 of us that got in. Besides me, the other 4 were my brother and my 3 closest friends. I would not have gotten into the PhD programs of my top 5 universities had it not been because my inner circle shared my goals. As a kid, I thought choosing who to marry would be the biggest decision of my life. Today, I'm sure this is true. Choosing the right spouse gave me way more than a lover and a mother to my children. It gave me a constant source of companionship, guidance, and support. I'm fighting tears right now. My wife became my life partner 18 years ago, and we've stuck together ever since. Each time we experience a challenge, and boy, there were many, I know I'm not going anywhere. Maybe at times she would like me to go somewhere. But I stay committed to the marriage because, in my experience, investing my time and energy in the health of my marriage has always paid off and made my life better. We have 3 wonderful children, and the 5 of us get to share a fun and loving home. The family we've built is my greatest source of pride, joy, and motivation. They got me through the most challenging times of my life. Let me share a couple of them. At 35, I decided to leave the 2 companies I had built and focus on starting a new company. The main reason for the change is that Paula and I wanted a business that we could adapt to our family. Since my travel company had succeeded, we focused on international corporate travel and events. Paula and I agreed that we wouldn't step on each other's toes. She'd be a full-time mom raising our children and running the household. I'd be a full-time CEO of our company. She would help me in every way possible, and I'd do the same for her. The year was 2008. We were expecting our first baby in September, as we were launching our new company in May of that year. Then September rolled in. Our first daughter was born, and in the same week, the world economy collapsed. Suddenly, our clients canceled their corporate events, and we were out of work. We were desperate to keep our team and ourselves afloat, So much so that a week after our daughter was born in Buenos Aires, we agreed I would fly to a trade show in Chicago. At that show, reality hit me in the face. While previous years had filled me with fresh leads for the business, this time I came home empty-handed at a critical time. The next 3 months were exasperating, and our stress level grew daily as our new business edged toward bankruptcy. At times, I was starting to go crazy, barely getting any sleep through the night. Paula and our marriage also suffered a lot. However, we stayed together because we had built our foundation strongly. Finally, I got a call from the UK on New Year's Eve that year. The prospect asked if I could go meet him in Brazil to discuss a major project. I said yes, got on a plane a week later, and we won the business. There was light at the end of the tunnel. The project that saved our company required that I travel back and forth between Argentina and Brazil for months. Brazil's economy was thriving as Argentina's went haywire. Paula and I decided we'd move to Rio de Janeiro, Brazil. Moving away from our families and friends was hard. But the hardest part were the financial challenges that came with it. Shortly after I announced our decision to move to Brazil, our team in Argentina resigned, assuming we would not support offices in 2 countries. Our personal and business expenses tripled because the Brazilian currency was considerably stronger than Argentina's. And the US recession was wreaking havoc now in Europe, our other key market. In our first 2 years in Rio, Paula got used to going to the supermarket and having to return the entire purchase at the cash register when her credit card would not go through. One day, Paula asked me to go to a pharmacy and buy our daughter's medication. As I looked at my wallet, I didn't have enough cash or even a credit card with funds available. Times like these will test even the best of marriages. After those deep lows came the highest of highs. In 2013, our sales took off, tripling our previous record. While 2013 was amazing, our revenue was 5 times greater 5 years later, reaching $12 million. Our business survived the global recession and took off when it did, when the recession was over, because we had a great team. Paula was the perfect business partner, guiding and supporting me daily. Our employees cared deeply about making our clients happy. I built direct relationships with each of them, even if that meant traveling regularly to every country where they worked. By 2018, our company, ESA Latin America, was Latin America's flagship corporate events company. Everybody in the global corporate events industry knew our name. We had the largest booths in the Latin America pavilion at all the leading international trade shows, London, Frankfurt, Barcelona, and Las Vegas. We were seen as a great place to work and had full-time employees in the United States, Europe, and 9 countries in Latin America, and physical offices in 9 of them. During this period of happiness and bonanza, we decided to move to the United States right after the 2016 Rio Olympics. We wanted to give our children the best opportunities and help our company reach new heights. We chose South Florida so I could easily keep flying back to visit our teams and join our clients on site at their major events throughout Latin America. It seemed like everything was going right in my early 40s. My family was complete when our 3rd child and only boy was born. Our business was booming. Companies would offer us millions to buy our company. And we turned them down because we were having fun creating a great company and seeing our profits soar. We moved to Florida in 2017. We bought a 2-story house with a pool, with a gorgeous lake view and a beautiful gated neighborhood in Weston, Florida. The children started in their new schools and soaked up the English language until becoming fluent. Life was great. And then, a series of unexpected events turned our world upside down. Our lawyer called to say that the US government had denied our petition to extend my visa to work here. She said we had 7 weeks to pack our bags and leave the country. We hired 2 highly reputable and costly law firms to work on different immigration processes. They told us to stay put and not travel internationally, which sent our company into a tailspin. My travels throughout Latin America to spend quality time with our team had been the glue that kept the company together. Now I couldn't do it. The people that reported to me realized we would not be sponsoring their move to the United States, which meant that we'd have to replace them to have our leadership team in Florida. They quietly started scrambling for new jobs and lost the motivation to work in the company. The immigration lawyers reminded me to hire as many employees in the United States as we could afford. So I stretched the company's expenses beyond what was healthy to hire people we didn't need. Our profits fell and our cash flow became increasingly problematic. Getting a bank loan or line of credit was out of the question since we weren't permanent residents of the United States. As our financial situation deteriorated, we couldn't count on our savings to keep our company healthy. We had invested all our savings in rental properties in Rio de Janeiro, and in 2016, Brazil went into a massive recession. We had to lower our rents, which meant we were paying higher mortgages than we were collecting in rent. We hung on for as long as we could until we finally decided to give up all the rental properties we had acquired. It was gut-wrenching to see our life savings disappear, just like that. The financial stress was mounting each day, and one day we received the news that Paula's beloved grandmother, who had been our rock since her birth, was given days to live. Our lawyers told us if Paula traveled again to visit her, we'd probably lose our path to our permanent residence. Paula was devastated not to be able to be by her grandma's side over the last 3 months of her life. And 3 months later, her grandmother passed away. As Paula grieved her beloved grandma's death, I fought daily to keep our business afloat, our bills paid, and our green card process moving. I couldn't give Paula all the emotional support she needed, which also took a toll on us. Our green cards arrived at our home on the last day of the decade, December 31st, 2019. We could finally travel abroad, and I could stop worrying about the US payroll expenses that were eating our business alive. And we could finally get the business line of credit. And then, just 2 months later, all our hopes for financial recovery were destroyed when the pandemic gripped the world. The international corporate events industry imploded. Within 3 months, most companies in that space went bankrupt or shut their doors. The largest companies in the sector globally shed 90% or more of their payrolls through layoffs and extended furloughs that led to people retiring or quitting the industry in droves. Our clients canceled their events and all money stopped coming in. We downsized immediately at a high cost since we had to cover employee severance payments. At 46, despite all my degrees and having built the most successful corporate events company in Latin America, I had zero income to support my family and no passive income. And I had no prospect of getting a job or starting a venture in the sector where I had built my entire business career. I was devastated. My professional work of the previous 17 years had vanished. The amazing team we had built had disappeared. And all our know-how, reputation, and brand value were worthless. The same company others had wanted to acquire for millions of dollars until a few months before wasn't worth a penny. And keeping it alive took a lot of work. I started questioning everything I had done. How did I let this happen to us? How would I provide for my family now? And how, at the age of 46 years, and my company's collapse, would I convince anyone to bet on me again as an entrepreneur? I did some serious soul searching, thanks to the pause to all the busyness that the pandemic allowed me. At this juncture, my wife's invaluable guidance and support were essential. She reminded me to see the silver lining in this dire situation. She told me she believed I could succeed in an entirely new venture in a new industry. When I came up with the idea of the business I wanted to create, She supported me and provided me with a useful sounding board. My soul searching made me realize how badly I wanted to continue being an entrepreneur. Leading a business is such a rewarding experience for me. Being the CEO of a company, especially one I built from day one, is my dream job. Our hardships became one of life's greatest gifts, reconnecting me with my purpose. The pain of losing my company, all my savings, my income, and even my occupation made me feel the value in the cause I had chosen to serve 30 years earlier. Realizing that millions of people were losing jobs and entire businesses due to the pandemic made me feel that my purpose mattered. I experienced firsthand the pains of millions of others who had lost everything they had built. I wanted to do something to help others. Who could I help the most was the question to create the business. The people I knew best, CEOs of small and mid-sized businesses. How could this create opportunities for others? Because small and mid-sized businesses employ 2 out of 3 people. And when businesses thrive, communities blossom. So in 2020, I founded a new company named Leading Peers to help CEOs succeed so their people and businesses prosper. 3 years later, Leading Peers has 100 CEOs as members, and we are the fastest growing CEO community in Florida. At Leading Peers, our system revolves around giving each CEO a peer advisory board where members collaborate to help each other overcome challenges and seize opportunities. These boards meet confidentially and establish trust and accountability. They hold one-to-one sessions to coach each other and social events to bond. The friendships they build help them to be vulnerable and ask for help. And they motivate them to give and receive the advice, wisdom, and connections they need from their peers to succeed. Over the past 3 years, the companies in Leading Peers have far outperformed the market and are creating opportunities for thousands of people. Today, as Leading Peers grows, our family is thriving and Paula's executive coaching career is flourishing. Meanwhile, ESA Latin America is creating jobs and happy clients again. And I get the immense joy of seeing it all while mentoring the CEO that we chose to replace me. Graduates, invest in creating your most meaningful relationships, personal and professional. Start with choosing who to let into your inner circle as your closest friends. Decide who you want to build your life with. Choose who you will trust as your advisors in your career. Having friends in high places may open some doors, but always prioritize strengthening the relationships with your trusted support group, especially those who will love you unconditionally. Everything you do in life depends on who you choose as your key relationships and how you honor those relationships. Be true, accountable, and devoted to the people you choose to serve. That's just the second lesson. This one's short. The third major lesson I learned was about mindset. In my life story, after every rise, there was a fall. And after those lows came new highs. I'm now enjoying a great moment, knowing challenging times will come again soon. You can decide whether your challenges are a curse or a blessing. How you interpret each challenge is entirely up to you. You'll only see them as a blessing when you adopt a growth mindset. What made me resilient and able to get back up each time I got knocked down was that I knew my purpose and had built meaningful and enduring relationships. My mindset, however, is what made me find meaning during those lows. My resilience comes from my unwavering faith in a higher power. By believing everything happens for a reason, I seek lessons and seize opportunities in each crisis. I'm learning more and more each day to be grateful for each of the challenges I face. I recognize those challenges so I can do something to overcome them. I constantly remind myself that I grew more during tough times than in good times. I remind myself that having hope for a better tomorrow has never disappointed me. My challenges forced me to dig deep within myself to find the motivation to move forward and taught me more about myself than I knew before. They forced me to be more vulnerable and ask for help, which made me more humble, empathetic, and able to listen to others. By raising my vulnerability and empathy, I have become a much more effective leader because I can connect more deeply with people, especially when they're down and in need of a hand. Overcoming my past challenges has also given me confidence. I dedicate more time today than ever to learning from others. We live in a golden age where the best books and master classes are practically free. What most helps me evolve are the communities I joined, where people who share my goals and mindset come together to share their best wisdom, advice, and connections. The peer groups I'm in allow me to be vulnerable and evolve in the most important areas of my life: family, health, work, and faith. My peer groups celebrate my wins and help me overcome my challenges. They teach me new approaches and strategies. They provide me a sounding board for my thoughts and ideas, and they encourage me to live courageously, way beyond my comfort zone, and at the edge of my ability. All three major life lessons that I shared with you come together in peer groups. We build meaningful relationships with people with a growth mindset to propel one another towards serving our purposes. Graduates, open yourself to the suggestions and perspectives of people you trust. The best leaders ask great questions to the right people and then make decisions. Grow into the person you wish to become. Your outward success will be the reflection of who you truly are. Success not rooted in who you've become will be short-lived and unfulfilling. Your academic education may be over for now, and perhaps for some of you, forever. Don't let your personal development ever end. Consider yourself a work in progress. Work on yourself deeply, and more than you would in any relationship, and certainly more than in any job or business. Work more on your character than on your skills. Know your core values and measure how you're living up to them. Among your skills, none is more important than your resilience. Find ways to remind yourself of your worth. Tell yourself repeatedly, if you have to, like I do, that you're enough and you matter. We all do. Always believe you can become wiser and better as a person than you are now, and that you can achieve more than you've already accomplished. Be willing to try new things and accept your failures. Finally, learn to laugh at your mistakes, weaknesses, and quirks. Smiling removes stress and attracts positive people your way. And laughing, especially at yourself, will lighten your load and permit your people to let loose, making your life more enjoyable. Your mindset determines how you view everything and what you do with it. A growth mindset, meaningful relationships, and a clear purpose will give you a great life. Thank you very much.